happy new week. Hope you're doing amazing. I'm back in Melbourne HQ after my 3 week stint on the Gold Coast. And next to me, I have one of our gorgeous authors, Joe Baker, who has come in, and she's going to tell us a lot about the book that she has just written. So good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm amazing. And I'm so excited. We quickly had a brief chat at one of our seminars last week, and you're doing so many cool things, now that your book is out. And we just briefly mentioned the book you started to write wasn't the book that ended up being. But we'll tell everyone about that a little bit more in a moment. What I'd like to do first of all, guys, is introduce you, who Jo is, and we'll show you her book, which she's got there, and then we're talking about the topic. So here we go. #1 Amazon bestseller of Saving Myself. So guys, Jo Baker has just one mission: to help women achieve their financial goals. Through her book, programs, and community, women learn how to change the way they relate to their money, create a wealth plan that actually works for them, and integrate the money habits to achieve their goals. They transform from stressed money warriors to powerful lifestyle queens, which is the topic of today's live. So Jo wants women to be financially empowered so that they can make better choices for themselves and their families. She's starting important conversations with women, and she's busting some of the myths around money and wealth, meeting her followers where they are and offering a safe space for them to connect with the vision of their financial future is her foundation. Teaching women to play to their feminine strengths is the way forward. So that's awesome, Jo. And you just showed us the book there. I do have a bigger picture here on the
There it
screen.
is. In the flesh.
Yes, it's exciting, and I'll show you guys my picture that I've got here. It's the tagline is the quintessential guide to building a budget, getting out of debt, and living again after divorce, which is what you couldn't have probably seen in the version that Jo flashed up. So tell us maybe, Jo, like, where did this all start from, and how it kind of morphed into what it is now, and kind of defining moments why you wanted to write a book anyway.
Oh gosh, for me, I've always written. As a kid, I used to write stories. If there was a piece of paper and a pen around, I was writing. And that was most of my childhood. I love stories. I love whatever form stories come in. So if they're books or movies or TV or theatre or anything like that, I love a good story. So writing for me, I think, is in my blood. But when I was 16, my teachers in high school, my English teacher told me that I couldn't write, that I was no good at it. And my maths teacher told me that I was no good at maths. And ironically, I've proven them both wrong by writing a book about money. So
I love it.
yeah, it was just like gosh. And I believed them. That was the worst part. I absolutely believed that what they said was true. I mean, they're teachers, they know, right? But it turns out they don't know everything. So that's where I've always had the bug for writing, and I write in a professional sense as well. So I have a consultancy business that I run alongside of being an author, and I write programs and training and manuals and things like that for corporates. So I go into projects and I do that as well. So writing is just become my world these days. And I tell you what, it is just fantastic.
And so tell me where the book started out, of what it was going to be about and how it kind of changed.
Yeah. The first time that we met was at one of the half-day workshops, and I wanted to write a book about living by myself in my 50s. I went from my parents' home to my married home to my single mother home, and all of a sudden I found myself living alone for the first time in my life, and it was really confronting. And I thought, oh, you know what, I'm going to journal my experience and what I'm doing, and I'm going to turn that into a book. So that was my first my first foray into it all. And it was originally going to be called Doing It Myself, but then as I got more and more into it and doing more and more, handing it out and building it and all that sort of stuff, I actually wrote the first one, and it's still sitting there. But when I after the retreat, I did the 48 hours, recorded everything, wrote it all down, followed your structure, was all fantastic. And then when I read it back and I thought, no, this is not the book that I want to write. So changed it and ended up writing a book on financial empowerment for women.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that, give us some, insight why, and, is it because you were once at that point where you were desperate and lost and, didn't know if you could, fend for yourself financially after
Yeah.
the divorce, and now you've figured it out, so you're sharing some of those hints, trips?
Yeah, when I first became divorced, when I left my husband was 26th of November in the year 2000. I had 4 kids. I had a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and 6-year-old twins. I had a car full of as much stuff as I could put in the car, and I had $20 in my wallet, and we left. And I went and lived with my parents for a couple of months until the kids and I got a home of our own. And yeah, it was always a struggle. I was always dependent on either Centrelink or child support or, other people to help me out. Back then, I was working in a data entry team in a pathology company, and that paid $12 an hour. You're not going to get a long way doing $12 an hour. So yeah, my financial scope, I guess, was really dependent on other people and other organizations. Yeah. Over time, I learned to be really, really savvy. I learned that, $10 can go a really, really long way. And while this is not a book on being frugal, it is a book about having your relationship with money and changing it. For a lot of women, their relationship with money is around fear and concern and worry, and it brings up those feelings of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, all of those things. And if you can add 1 + 1 and make it 2, then you can do a budget, you can get your money right, and you can actually grow your wealth. I've gone from $12 an hour to got myself into a ridiculous amount of debt because back then I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. Now I'm completely debt-free. I only work when I have to. And, my asset base is growing all the time. So I've gone from just this, this place where I was a poor single mum, yeah, to now being someone who is just, budgeting is so easy. My relationship with money is great. And I've got the best money habits that I can possibly create. And that's giving me the platform to do all sorts of crazy things.
I love it. I love it. And so how do you have you translated all the things you did for yourself, then shared those in the book, and then help women?
And yeah, things like fear. Like I think there's a lot of fear for women around their money, where we're not taught how to do it in school. And I'm sure everyone's heard that a lot particularly over the last 5 or so years. We've had the pandemic, cost of living has gone up, everything is a lot more expensive. So, we're always hearing about how tough it is and how difficult it is. And it is, for a lot of people, it is really hard. But what I've learned is that if I improve my relationship with money, the way I relate to it, then it's not quite as tough as it used to be. And, it can be such an empowering place to come from, knowing when you're at the checkout, you don't have to count the numbers. You don't have to count your groceries. You can just go and pay for stuff. Yeah. If you want to go and buy something new, then you can go and do that. You want to take your kids on a holiday, you can do that. And I think that is my big mission with all of this, is to help women fatten up their bank accounts. Like, we've got to get your bank accounts right.
Yes.
But it's about, let's get them nice and fat and juicy, and then let that empower you to make different decisions. When women are constricted by money, they stay in bad relationships longer. They stay in bad jobs that they don't like, which are taxing and stressful. They just end up in situations that are not healthy for them or their children or their family. So when you have that nest egg, or you've got that emergency fund, or however much money you've got in the bank, when that's enough, then that empowers you to make better better decisions. It means that you can get health insurance if you need it. It means that you can upgrade your car and not drive a death bomb. Do you know what I mean? It's like it empowers us to not just live better and go on holidays, which is fabulous. We all want to go on a nice holiday, but I'm talking about it empowers us to live in a more solid way.
Yeah, have choice at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, I'm going to be honest, I can just log into my internet banking now. I was talking with a friend of mine about this the other day. You know, we log into our bank account and we just sit there and look at it because it's just like, holy moly. I can't believe little Joe Baker from Ingadine in Sydney is now sitting here doing and has this in her bank account. It is really empowering, and it changes how you feel about yourself and the opportunities you have.
Nice. So where does someone start when they're at that rock bottom place? Because it can be that place filled with fear and uncertainty and, you know, stepping outside of, you know, what you currently have, a roof over your head and all that sort of stuff might be, and you might be in that bad job or bad relationship, but what do you say? Where does someone start? Because you obviously can't just take big leaps straight
No,
away.
you can't. And it takes time. I've got a methodology that I talk about in the book.
Yeah.
And it is a good plan plus positive money habits over time equals a new way of life. And we talk about that all the way through the book.
Yeah.
Because you've got to start with a plan. And I know there is a lot of negative information out there about budgets, but budgets are really, really simple. You have money coming in, some of it goes out and some of it stays. And that's your budget. It's really, really simple. You don't overcomplicate it. There are lots of professionals and experts out there talking about you've got to have this percentage and that percentage and this bucket and that thing. You actually don't, because I'm a big believer when life gets really tough, bring it back to the basics. You know, bring it back, make it really simple, get rid of everything you don't need and start with a blank sheet of paper. So, you know, and I think the other thing that needs to happen is that we need to know our numbers. If we're in business, we know our numbers, right? We can be really clear on what our revenue is, what our expenses are, or the overheads, all those sorts of things, but we don't tend to do that in our personal life. There's a chapter in here called You Inc. And it's about you turning your life, your financial life into a business. So, you know, you'll point yourself as the CEO or the CFO or whoever it is you want to be. But when those big money decisions, there's a hierarchy. You have to get approvals. You have to, you know, actually make a case for why do I need to go and spend $20,000 on a car? When $5,000 or $7,000 would do for just now, if it means not going back into an extraordinary amount of debt. $20,000 is a lot of debt, a lot of money you got to pay back. So it's things like that.
Huge interest rate.
Oh my God. So yeah, and right now is a good time to have some money in the bank, because with the interest rates and everything that they're doing, you know, it's impacting having your savings account as well. So we talk about, you know, seeing yourself as a business owner of your life. It's You Inc. And
that's a great way to look at it. The metaphor is beautiful, because you're like always looking at numbers in your zero accounting system, what's in, out, you're reading your profit and loss and all that. But it's really important to know what's going on, especially I think some people are good at you know, knowing what's in and out, but other people, like, ignorance is bliss. And that's into a lot of trouble. Got
to know your numbers. And it's not a difficult, there's 4 numbers that I teach you in the book that you need to know. And once you know them, you're easy done.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you got to get the book to find out what the
4 numbers exactly.
So there's the book, and you say that your book is simply the messenger. You know, how do you work with people? Like, is there an online course? Is there like some consulting that you do? What is it how does it happen? Tell us.
Yeah, so there's a website, there's a whole business that sits behind the book now. And there's courses. I'm about to launch a new membership in the middle of the year, just in time for tax, which I'm so excited about. Oh my God. It's called the Fresh Start Project, and it's for women who want to draw a line in the sand and create and have a fresh start with their finances. So yeah, there's courses, there's Facebook group as well. There's a free Facebook group that you can join. It's called Savvy Budgeting for Divorced
I
Women.
might show your website because I do have it up here.
Here she is.
And hopefully that's now there she is. And the book is there, guys. So it's savvysolobudgeting.com. And there's, obviously if you scroll down, there's the book. You can get it as an ebook as well. And I'm guessing the membership will be put up here at some point. And
yeah, that's right.
Is the
yeah, that's it. We're going to be launching the book. The book already launched that. We're going to be launching the new membership program in the middle of the year. So I'm super excited.
That's why you have a members login. That's why you have a members login, right?
Yeah, that's it. There's a budgeting course up there at the moment, which I'm running, and that's called Stop Payday Stress. I really want women to be empowered on payday, not freaking out. So it's about teaching them it's like I've taken a third of the book and I've put it into a course on how to set up your money system. And, that's the plan part. We've got to get the plan part right first.
Yeah, I love it. So talk to me about the writing. Like you took 12 months after the retreat to complete the book, and we talked about this at the seminar last week. And that's because the book completely had to be rewritten, because you've written two now.
I have, essentially, yes. So as I said, the first one was all about living alone, and you know what? I'm probably going to pull that out at some point, and I'll have a play with it in a little while. Not at the moment. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, but it's on the shelf and it's sitting over there for something I can do later. But yeah, it did take me 12 months. So I had my retreat was in February 2021, and I had a bit of a hiccup in the middle of my journey, only because my own fears and my own stories and that stuff got in the way. Fell over myself. But then, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and off you go again. And then once I broke it down, I actually have a spreadsheet that I was running from. And because I think 40,000 words just sounds like a lot of words. And I'm a writer, and for me, that sounded like a lot of words. But what I did is I broke it down into articles. So I had my chapters, and in there I had the little articles that I wrote. And I think I wrote about 1 or 2 articles a day. And I would get up at 5:30 in the morning, because I'm a morning person. So 5:30, and I did some meditation and some centering activities just to get myself in the right frame of mind, played some nice music, and I grabbed my laptop and I just wrote for an hour, and I made myself like an hour of power, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And I picked the easy articles first, and I powered through those, which gave me a lot of confidence. And eventually the whole spreadsheet got completed, and I had a freaking book. It was amazing.
I love it. And that's discipline. And what I've heard in everything you've said today is consistency. Like from where you were financially with your family and your kids there on your own, trying to raise them and, having enormous amounts of debt. It wasn't like an overnight success turnaround where you have this money in your bank account that you see today. It was the consistent little actions and incremental progress over a period of time, right?
It's the 1%ers, isn't it? It's those small 1% things, stacked on each other. That's what makes change.
And that's how you wrote your book. It sounds
that's exactly right.
Yeah. I love that. And that's all I say to people. It's like, the book does not have to take over your life. 2 hours twice a week is, as long as you're consistent, that's a lot of time. That's 4 hours every week. Multiply that over 12 weeks, let's say. That's a lot of hours, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
48 hours on a book. Of course, you're gonna end up finishing it and sending it across. But it's just a lot of the time people can buy into that all or nothing. I need to find a weekend. I need to find full days, and as if that's gonna happen. We live in a busy
1 hour
world.
Exactly. And all I did was 1 hour a day, and
you got up earlier an hour. Is that what you did? Yeah, that's all. So you didn't have to find the extra time. You just said, I'll make a choice, to wake up when I'm fresh and I haven't been distracted by email, social media, which, you know, kind of tends to dull our creative
Yeah.
juices. Yeah. No,
I think once I got on a roll with it,
yeah.
waking up, I woke up before the alarm. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I had a plan and I was excited again. And because I did the first way that we talk about in the retreat, the one you teach us in the retreat, where we do the recordings and we talk,
Yeah.
and I talk for a living. I train for a living.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, it was just like, that's not quite right for me. So I went back to pen and paper
Yeah.
and I wrote it in my laptop. So, you know, each word I actually wrote. But yeah, it was,
You know, Joe, I've done it both ways.
yeah,
You know, when I was actually really, really busy and trying to get my business off the ground, the initial books were spoken out and then transcribed, blah, blah, blah. I just needed to like kind of get them out because I was limited on time. But my last few books I actually have typed because I actually have had the time to enjoy that process. And I know it can be
yeah,
quite more enjoyable than say, because you're not seeing as you're speaking, you're not seeing them, the information that you're putting down, whereas as you're typing, you can kind of see it in front of you, and
yeah,
you cut down actually a little bit of time at cleanup because you're kind of a little bit editing as you're going along.
that's
So
exactly
there's
right.
pros and cons in both routes, and that's why nowadays we say, hey, this is the fast way. If you want to just like, if you're super busy, let's get you through and get a book out, you know, before you have a chance to talk yourself out of it, because this is what happens in this world. You know, every 92% of adults want to write a book, yet
Yeah.
0.1% ever do it. So it's because a lot of people talk themselves out of it or keep putting it on the back burner, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think for me, once I had the book and had my Word document with everything in it,
Yeah.
when we sent, I had the lovely Rebecca, who was my editor, and the day we sent it off to her, it was just like, oh my gosh, I don't think I slept. I couldn't sit. I think it's going to come back with track changes. Like it's going to have this many edits, and she's going to hate it. She's going to absolutely hate it and tell me I can't write, and the teacher was right. But when it came back, it had just a couple of tweaks, and I was just, oh, is that it? Like that was it.
People
That
often
was really cool.
overthink it and they make it out bigger than it actually is. But if you
Yeah,
just take the steps and you just go, well, what's my next thing I got to focus on? You know, just to
yeah,
adjust bits and pieces. So, nah. So, how was like that publishing process for you? You know,
I loved it. I loved it. It was fabulous. I'm used to having reviews. My work gets reviewed all the time. So while sending it off the first time, no matter where I am, what company I'm consulting for or whatever I'm doing, I always find it really scary the first time I send it off. But then when you get it back, it's just like, yeah, that makes more sense. So you rewrite and you fix and you adjust things. And by the time you get there, it's amazing. I remember the very first time that Nick sent me the proper cover of my book, I was bawling. Like I'm a teary person. My emotions are on the outside. You're probably gathering that anyway. But I was just a blithering mess of, oh my God, here it is. And it looked exactly like this,
Yeah.
you know, and there was me on the cover. The day that I got my first book in hand, I was in a meeting and I got an alert to say that it was in the letterbox. And I actually excused myself out of my meeting. Said, I'm really sorry. I have to go to the mailbox. And I went out there. Luckily, the person I was meeting with was just the sweetest person. And I've come back and she said, oh, you've got to open it. So we did. And again, the crying, you know, I cried at I cried last week when we were talking about your seminar. But, you know, seeing that first, and I've actually put the first book in, I've got it tucked away. I'm going to do something.
In a special box.
Yes, that's exactly right. It'll be up on the wall here at some point. But yeah, I've got my very first book that I've put away. But I've now, you know, I've got bookmarks and I've got cards. If someone buys the book, I went to YouTube, I think it was, and I learned different ways that you can wrap things. You've no idea what you can find on YouTube.
I know, yeah.
But I've found this fantastic way that I can wrap the book that just looks amazing.
Yeah.
And so I went out and bought all this really pretty pink wrapping paper, and I've put a bookmark in there. I write, you know, inscribe something really nice to the person who bought it. I wrap it up and then we take it to the post office. And the lady at the post office going, oh, and more today. Yes, more
Yeah,
to
I love that. That's beautiful.
yeah,
That showing that care and love towards, the customers or the readers, it's really lovely, and it
yeah,
makes a big difference. They also then, contact you and they want to know more. Like, what else do you do? How can you really help me through
yeah, that's
what I'm
it.
struggling with? So you've got all that, right attitude, and the book is really just the messenger, as you say, and the way for people to build trust and to get to know
Yeah.
you a little bit more and all that sort of stuff. So I love that, and
I
everything
think
marketing.
I think you're spot on when you talk about, I'm not JK Rowling and I won't ever pretend to be, right? There's not going to be any theme parks in my honor. But this book for me has opened more doors already. It's been 12 months since it was published. It became a bestseller in May of last year. It has opened more doors and created more conversations that I would not have had
If you had.
without it. It has
Sometimes it's not directly related, isn't that right, Joe? It's
absolutely,
not even. It's sometimes you get a gig with something else, a consulting project, because you've got a book to
because of
promote.
it. That's exactly what's happened. When I talk about, fun facts, people want to know fun facts, right? I'm a published author.
Mm.
And they go, oh my God. And when
Yeah.
I introduce myself now, I used to introduce myself as an instructional designer, which is technically what I am. But
Yeah.
now I introduce myself as a writer. And the perception, you can just see people, the cogs in their brain are ticking, they look at you differently. And not that I want to be put on a pedestal, it's not about anything like that.
No.
It's just that it's an unusual job title.
And it's still really rare. And as much as this world talks about writing books, and hey, every second person saying I'm writing a book, but are they really? Because
Exactly.
often when I unpack
Yeah.
a conversation like that, they're actually not, or have been doing it for 10 years. But
And
you
there's a
know,
lot of books, exactly. There's a lot of books on Facebook, people on Facebook at the moment calling themselves authors, and they say, download my ebook for $5 or $7 or whatever it is. And I've done that because I want to see what their funnel is.
yes,
And it's not an ebook. It hasn't got an ISBN.
yeah,
It doesn't have a
they're,
publisher. It doesn't have anything like what I've
they're
got and
slapped
what you.
together, basically.
It's
They're
a
slapped together.
Word doc that's been
The
turned into
PDF.
a PDF. Yes. You know,
I know. My personal trainer this morning asked me, "Oh, Nat, I saw something on Facebook about Amazon doing this, publishing and all. Is that going to affect your business?" I go, "Oh, because people try to do and cut corners to get books out, and it actually takes away from their credibility. Because then I know
100%.
because I'm fixing them. Because then they come to me and they want to do it properly. I said, what you want to do is you want to have a self-published product, but that it looks traditionally published. That looks like it's going to add to your credibility. That it's not going to be just something that's been like slapped together. So I'm glad you kind of said that, because there's so much low quality stuff that just gets put on there or
Yeah.
published on direct publishing, but it's not really a true book. What
No.
we
And
think.
when some of them, when I've downloaded quite a few, it's become a bit of a sport now.
Yeah.
But when I download them, it's just like, no one has proofed this. There's no editing
Oh,
whatsoever. There are
wow.
typos which blow my mind.
Yeah.
There's such poor quality. So I think what sets me apart and other members of 48 Hour Ultimate Publishing is that, we have done the hard yards. I have on the spine, I've got the logo, I've got the barcode, I've got all the things, the publishing statement at the very front.
Yeah.
I've got that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there are things that I have that you're not going to find in a lot of these PDF ebooks.
I know.
So, I'm getting a little cheesed off, to be honest.
Oh
I'm
yeah, me too. When I see them, I've downloaded them too. Don't worry, and I like go, oh my god, like it's okay to have a typo here and there. And I read
sure.
traditionally published books that have typos as well.
Yep.
But when you download like the ones from Amazon, some of them are like, oh my god. And this is like, how did it even pass their system? Because usually that should pick up, and it's not of the quality. So anyway, well, Joe, where can people buy your book? Aside from obviously, guys, all the good, awesome online retailers will have it. Like it'll be on Amazon, it'll be on Barnes and Noble and all that. Of course, we shared the website before. Here's one more closer look at Jo's book, Saving Myself, The Quintessential Guide to Building a Budget, Getting Out of Debt, and Living Again After Divorce. And she truly is an expert and has lived that story of, going from, enormous debt with 4 children to a point where she's super comfortable and works when she wants to. And it's amazing. And you can do it too. And I know because I was in a similar situation from, my husband losing a business and going to a rock bottom and then rebuilding the last 13 years to a multi-million-dollar business that it is. And we've been blessed to be working with you, Jo. And I can't wait. We're going to reconnect, as I said again. Here's the website also one more time, guys, savvysolobudgeting.com. So you can go check it out. And obviously, Jo's launching a membership and lots of goodies. And just contact her if there's something you heard during the call today and you want some more information on. Any last parting words, last thought, quote of the day?
You've got to do it. If you are sitting on the fence like I was, I followed Nat for about 3 years before I actually took
You're
the
stalking, not saying anything.
I was totally stalking. Don't stalk, don't think, just, everyone has a book in them, but let's get you doing it the right way. That gives you that credibility. And it opens so many doors. That's why just do it.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Jo. Good luck with all your leveraging.
Thank you.
And profile building. We will be staying in touch. We've got a special thing we want to also bring into our private community that you're doing with your book, which we'll teach in there separately. But have an amazing weekend, guys. As always, go out and smash it out. Bye.